I became interested in the topic of regulating women with high testosterone because of my background as an athlete. So in 2009 I competed for Australia in the 800 metres at the World Championships in Berlin, and I raced in the same heat as Caster Semenya, so the South African athlete who has been most associated with this issue in recent years. And in fact it was at those championships that the international governing body for track and field announced that they were going to be conducting investigations into Semenya's biological sex, an announcement that ended up prompting very intense media and public scrutiny of Semenya and her body. So when I moved to the US to do my PhD in sociology a few years later, I discovered this vast body of feminist literature critiquing the regulation of women with differences of sexual development. And I saw an opportunity to bring a unique voice to that literature, given my background and my experience in Berlin in particular. In terms of what my paper is trying to achieve, well, the 2015 appeal of the hyperandrogenism regulations that was brought to the Court of Arbitration for Sport by an Indian athlete, Dutee Chand, was very important because although the decision was favourable to her in the short term, it nevertheless established the legitimacy of testosterone as the basis for regulating women with differences of sexual development. So I was really fascinated by how this had been allowed to occur, given there was clearly no scientific consensus about the precise relationship between naturally occurring forms of testosterone and athletic ability in women. So in my analysis of this case, what I'm trying to achieve is a theory of how expertise and the binary body were co-produced. So I suggest that the binary body, as we experience it, is produced via expert debates, but expertise as well is achieved via specific representations of the body. So in the Chand case, I showed that there was a simultaneous narrowing of expertise and the body, such that only those expert accounts that were representing the body in terms of a strict male-female binary were granted epistemological authority. In terms of the overall importance of this topic and how I see the field around it developing, well, many people are familiar with this topic now because in 2019, Caster Semenya led a very high-profile appeal to the Court of Arbitration for Sport, in which the adjudicating panel acknowledged that the science was unconvincing, but decided that women with high testosterone should nevertheless be excluded from competing. So while I think that feminist critiques of scientific knowledge are vitally important to this topic, it's also clear that decision makers and stakeholders in sports like track and field are being motivated by factors other than their commitment to scientific integrity. So what I'm trying to do with my research now, and where I think embodiment scholars can make important interventions, is to unpack the emotional dimensions surrounding constructions of women's bodies and ideologies of binary sex difference, and then also the relationship of these emotional dimensions to scientific and expert claims about binary sex.